Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Ready to see what's going on in the world today, cosmic-wise, cosmic weather? Let's check it out here. Current conditions, solar wind-wise, 455.3 kilometers per second. Planetary K-index is at a 1, but look, it could jump up to a 5. That's because of the geomagnetic storm we're getting from the solar flare that hit a couple of days ago. Actually, there's been several M-class flares that have come off of there. Nothing coronal hole-wise that we need to be concerned about. And planetary or chance for flares, it has dropped down from 35 to 25% chance from yesterday. Doesn't look like we're in the possibility of an X-class flare, and geomagnetic storm activity, as we can see here, is next to nothing. 20% chance if you're in the high latitudes, 15% that you might have something active in the mid latitudes. And if we go back up here, this is that information about the here. An Earth enters a broad stream of debris from Comet Swift-Tuttle. More and more Perseid meteors are appearing in the night sky. Last night, I captured a Perseid fireball ripping through the ionosphere over New Mexico, reports amateur astronomer Thomas Ashcraft. It was traveling pretty fast, 133,000 miles per hour. That's pretty darn fast. All right, so we've got these coming in over the course of the weekend, so look up to the sky. You might have a good sighting of something or another. Astrologically, our sun signs in the same place it was. Conscious mind, fire, Leo. We have a changing of the guard, though, underneath in the moon sign. We're in between signs, in between Pisces and Aquarius, excuse me. Pisces and Aquarius, or actually Aquarius and Pisces. Pisces is a water sign that we're moving into. Aquarius is an air sign. We're in between. Today's the void of course. The void of course is as we're dealing. So think about the elements, water and air, and how those two things move together. And that's what's battling it out underneath in the unconscious mind. We're consciously working with ideas. If you boil everything down to just the elements that are involved, look at the planets and the stars and the planets and see which elements they represent. And if you look at it in that regard, it does make more sense. You know how to work with the energy of each and every day. What does it represent in our lives? Fire, water, air, earth. What are we working with? Because we know how to do those. We've been knowing how to do those since the caveman days, right? All right. Our moon phase. We've just gone slightly past the full moon. But the moon, for all practical purposes, is still full to the naked eye as we will see it. And the Mayan Oracle shows us today is a two-tone day. Two tones are the lunar tones, called the lunar tone of challenge. The kin for today, right in the middle, is the hand, the blue hand, which is all about accomplishment. The guide for today above it is the storm. So today would be the lunar hand, guided by the storm. Right here, we've got the hand in the second position of the wave spell. The phrase for today is I polarize in order to know stabilizing healing. I seal the store of accomplishment with the lunar tone of challenge. I am guided by the power of self-generation. And on the Gregorian calendar, it is Friday, August 3rd, 2012. All right, so yesterday on the show and over the course of the week, I've been playing for you clips of José Argüelles. And so I'm going to play one more today. This is a continuation of what I started yesterday. It was the interview Bridging Heaven and Earth. And I played about 10 minutes, so I'm going to keep going, play a little bit more today because this is a good interview, and I just didn't feel like I wanted to leave you hanging where we left off. So here we go. This is a continuation. José Argüelles, Bridging Heaven and Earth.
The final moment. We are in the final moment. We're entering a point where we are going to be going into the final window when we can make this shift, and this window occurs between November 8th this year and July 26th,
2003.
2004. Yeah,
yes,
from
2003 to 2004.
Correct, to 2004. Correct. And so
if somebody's watching this show after that date, either
well, you gotta get with it now. Get it out now.
Right.
Yeah. So. And then July 26, 2004, that's the moment of what we call the big calendar change. That's when we're going to be beginning this shift in human consciousness, going from irregular mechanistic time to harmonic, perpetual, universal, cosmic time, back to natural time, back to the time of the cycles of the universe. Right now, the human species is the only species that's out of joint. We're totally out of order. We're out of order because we're following a mechanistic time combined with, which is the clock, combined with the irregular time of the calendar, which creates a very crazy-making, accelerating process. Everyone is experiencing acceleration of time. Everyone is experiencing acceleration of consciousness.
Was there any disharmony in the Mayan or the other civilizations that use that? I mean, it seems like there's been disharmony.
There's been disharmony, and there are different reasons for that, that there have been introduced levels of disharmony. But in a fundamental way, when we look at the civilizations that use this, that were following this Mayan timing standard, that there's a very, very much higher level of harmony that we're dealing with, and we're also dealing with a knowledge base that is very, very extensive and expansive. The Mayans would consider our concepts of time really primitive.
But like in the people who supposedly were following this, like Atlantis and Lemuria, I mean, they had other problems, right? Were they following the Mayan calendar in that way, or were they on the Gregorian calendar?
I think that when you talk about those places, we're also talking, about we're introducing larger issues here besides the calendar. Right now, we'd have to say that the program of the calendar, the Gregorian calendar, is a program that basically inherited from the Roman times, which is inherited from the Babylonian times. And then you have to say, well, that those programs that they were following, where did those come from? And then these are these were the faulty Atlantean programs and so on that then got resurfaced in this present cycle. This last cycle of time, this 5,125 year cycle of time from the cosmic galactic Mayan point of view, this is the time of the final testing, the final purging of the previous Atlantises, the previous lost worlds, the previous planets that didn't make it. That all of that karma, all of those programs, all those faulty programs, are now playing out their last segues here on Earth right now, and they have been playing out because they have been locked into this program, this Gregorian calendar program, and the time. So that's what creates the time. It's created a time like that to have all these programs play out. Everything that we're seeing happening on the planet today is like the final stages of this, and it's a big cosmic drama. And so the point of the Mayan time, which isn't just pure Mayan, because we're talking about, it's like saying Thomas Edison discovered electricity. Does that mean electricity is American? Okay, so this Mayan.
We'd like to think so here in America.
Some people would. They like to put flags on the electrical wires. Okay,
right.
Yeah, but so the Mayan time is actually cosmic time. They knew the actual nature of the time of the cosmos, of the galaxy, and so we're at this point here where like we're finishing this time of test, this time of trial. It's like the human beings have been having their final exam, and they're playing out all these
cramming.
Yeah, we got to do some cramming right now.
Like
read my books and you can cram. Okay,
right.
Read Time in the Technosphere and you can cram. The point is that now we're at this final testing point, and we got to till 2012. From 2004 till 2012 is 8 years, and so we have to begin to make the shift, because when we change the program, then we're being given the opportunity to change the program. It's like God is saying, okay, you have this one last chance to change your program, because that's the root of the problem. The reason why you haven't had peace yet is because you haven't understood you have to change the fundamental program. You're locked into a program of time that keeps your minds in a state of disharmony, that keeps you jagged, that keeps you accelerated, that keeps you in stress.
Would you say that, I mean, I know certain spiritual paths talk about, a state of timelessness.
Yes.
Okay, so how does that, is that a more expansive view of it, or is this for like...
Yeah, well, the timelessness is at the root of cosmic time.
Right. Okay. Why don't you talk a little bit about that? Because I think it's interesting. Because to me, I mean,
every mystic, every great mystic, at the root of whether it's Ramakrishna, whether it's Rumi, whether it's Saint Francis, what Huxley called the perennial philosophy. At the root of all that is an experience of timelessness. Timelessness is like what I call vertical time.
Yeah, beyond religion.
Yeah, beyond all that, because it introduces a state of mind and being that allows your soul, allows your consciousness to rise and to expand and to transcend the third dimensional physical. Okay, it allows you to go into the fourth dimensional time space. And when you look at what we're talking about, a cosmic timing standard like the 13-moon 28-day calendar, when we say perpetual, that means once you introduce living on that, after a certain point, that perpetual time gets you to timelessness. Okay, because there's no distinction. Okay, history is a function of irregular timing standards. Okay, when you get to a point where you're on a regular timing standard,
is it like which came first, the chicken or the egg? I mean, didn't disharmony lead us to pick the wrong calendar, and then the wrong calendar led to more disharmony, and then the cycle of which came first? It's
an interesting point, because there's free will and everything is preordained.
Yeah, I know. How do you deal with that? How do you walk the razor's edge of those two? Go ahead. You got about explain how you would walk the razor's edge between those two.
Yeah. So, but actually, both are true. I was reading a quote from John Lennon. John Lennon said, I know everything is free, but it's preordained too. He was on to that, and that's part of the paradox. The dualistic mind can't deal with the paradox. If you're going to go into that paradox, is this free will, is this preordained? You have to develop a mind that transcends the dualism of it, and can actually accept that both of those are true.
So what you're saying about the calendar is like, at this time, in this state we're in, that is like an important step. Because ultimately we want to be in the timelessness, because it doesn't matter, with all due respect to all this stuff. I mean, we don't care if it's the 31st day, the 28th day, if we're in that state of timelessness.
But the thing is that we have conditioned ourselves so long by irregular and mechanistic timing standards, that affects our mind. It's like you've been wearing shoes that are too small, and they're cramping your feet. Well, you got to get out of them and put something else that helps make them strong and better. Maybe in the end you get rid of the shoes altogether.
Right.
Okay. It's kind of like that. So we have to make we've become so almost immune to harmony.
We don't know what it feels like.
Yeah, we don't know what it feels like. So we have to get used to harmony again, That's the whole point of this calendar
So you're
change.
saying this calendar change is a big tool to reinvigorate the experience of harmony for people, that is an impediment.
Absolutely.
Not that people haven't broken through that impediment throughout history, the one or two, but for a whole species.
But for the whole species has never been unified in a harmonic standard. And the opportunity exists today to become unified in a harmonic standard and to experience harmonic unity, harmonic synchronization. And this is what we want. That's what everybody wants. Everybody wants, like what you were saying at the beginning of the show and your meditation. Everyone wants to live a joyous, blissful life every day. Doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter what boundaries there exist. Borders will disappear when we live in harmony. Governments will disappear when we live in harmony.
Right, those illusions.
Yeah, those are all illusions that keep us cramped, and they're all fixed and rooted in the calendar.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
All right, Dirk, thank you very much. This is the UFO News for today. All right, 4 stories. 4 stories, but they're good ones. First story, this was over France on the 1st. La Planestel, France. The footage of unknown bright objects hovering in the sky above La Planestel in France was filmed on Wednesday the 1st. Let's see what we've got here. Aha, look at that. Alright, either we have 3 objects flying in tandem, individual objects, or 3 objects part of the same grouping, part of the same ship, all connected, 3 lights on it. And we've seen them fly in tight formations before, so it could definitely be that, but it also has the uniform look of 3 lights on one particular ship, and when it moves, it seems to move in that kind of uniform way. Alright, that's the first sighting over France on the 1st. Now, next, UFO investigated by a plane in Switzerland on August. There's a plane down here, the UFO up here. This is not a joke. My wife and I were watching the fireworks on the Swiss National Day in our garden when we saw a UFO. I filmed with the Canon EOS 600D. The craft was approached by a plane and moved away. You can see that in the movie. Also, the way it moved can be seen. I put the sequence with the UFO together. Between the cut, there are about 3 minutes where the UFO is not seen. It's probably disc or triangular shape. So my wife told me when we have the fireworks, the UFO people think they can make a little trip without being seen. So this is not fake. Okay, let's look at this here. Okay. Alright, we have the one object right here. Which one is this, the plane or the ship? I think that's the plane. Let me move along where we'll see the second. I'm going to keep moving here. Alright, flying through the fireworks, yeah. Okay, this must be the obvious spaceship there. Alright. So we have over Switzerland and the fireworks. Okay. Pretty interesting, huh? Alright, pretty fascinating. Alright, next. Another flying saucer UFO filmed over Tijuana. What's with Tijuana? For some reason, it's a hotbed of UFO activity. Is it because even alien visitors are partial to south of the border sunshine? And more willing to believe public? Or does anybody walk around with video cameras trained on the sky? No matter the answer, the city resident Manuel Sanchez seems to be a lightning rod for UFO sightings, documenting dozens of them over the last few years and posting them on his own YouTube channel. This time, Sanchez captures a classic flying saucer craft hovering at odd angles over the city once again, And famous or infamous paranormal researcher Blake Cousins of YouTube's Third Phase of the Moon interviews the intrepid UFO hunter via Skype on his own channel. Santos doesn't have much of an explanation why Mexico, particularly Tijuana, seems to be a center for UFO sightings. Perhaps it's due to open minds and citizens always armed with ever-ready camcorder, or could it be because the story is heating up to a final resolution? Alright, that's what we have there. Okay, and very last one, very last story here. This brings up a good question for us to ponder. Will extraterrestrials be benevolent? All right, this is an article here by a guy named Jared Broker. Says why Jared Broker thinks that extraterrestrial will be benevolent. The UFO and extraterrestrial community is buzzing with a cacophony of different messages right now. UFO sightings are exploding in number. Self-described extraterrestrial channelers are sharing messages of a more open contact soon. The serious UFO documentary being produced by the Disclosure Project received all of their funding from the people very quickly. The ET issue is coming to a head, and I don't think this is just because I am relatively new to this community. I wanted to share these thoughts just in case there is a major UFO or ET event. Some are going to panic, and I hope to limit that. Those in power that want to maintain their control are going to try to capitalize on that fear. No doubt about it. After studying the UFO and ET phenomena for a couple of years, here are some of the frightening motives for possible aliens and why I think they are utter BS. A lot of these arguments are logical ones of Dr. Greer from the Disclosure Project, who has been studying the ET evidence and documents for over 30 years. So we got a link here. Let me just show you this. Here's his article. And here's the different thoughts he's sharing with everyone. Alright, so these are the things that the concerns that humans have, that aliens are going to steal their resources, that humans are food for them, that they're in cabal with our government. Alright, so there's a good article there. Follows up on what we were talking about. But here's my 2 cents on the issue. I think it's very, very important that we pay attention to what is going on, because it doesn't really take a brain surgeon to put all the pieces of the puzzle together. We see a lot of sightings all the time. Then we see people come out into the press like Nick Pope and says the things that he says, that UFOs can be seen over the Olympics. And then there is a sighting. Now, that a sighting that took place on the opening ceremony, there are many in authority there in England that say it was just a blimp. It was a blimp without the big logo. There are those who are disputing the whole blimp idea because of the movement that the craft seemed to make as it was moving across. And the other idea is that why would you put a blimp anywhere in the proximity where there are fireworks? That in itself doesn't make sense. So, August 4th, coming up tomorrow. This is the day that this channeled message we've been hearing about says that there is going to be extraterrestrial intervention. An intervention because America needs help. The world needs help, and that the disclosure from the governments of the world is taking way too long, that we've come to a point now where the leaders are only in the way, and therefore the extraterrestrials say without the intervention, we're not going to make it through the shift that we needed to make it through in time, so we need their assistance. If that is the case, it's very important that we understand the benevolence that they are. However, the governments of the world would have you believe that they are here to attack. That is what the story's all about. Tell me, when's the last time that you saw a movie about an extraterrestrial where they came down and weren't shot at? They came down to bring something good to humanity. Not too often. Most of the movies where they come down where they have something good to offer humanity, they're later chased by the government. They're interrogated or terrorized or shot. It's never really a good scenario. So humankind has been conditioned to believe that that's the way to treat those visitors. Well, if you were a visitor to another country or to another planet, would you want to be treated that way? I don't think so. So we should treat the visitors to this planet in the same way that we would want to be treated if we were a visitor to another planet. We should be courteous and open and see what they are about. and understand what they are about. Understand that they might be here to assist us with the process of evolution and to assist us in ridding the planet of the problem makers. So there could be a lot of good that could come from this. Now, I don't know if this is going to happen tomorrow or not, but just in case it does, we want to be prepared mentally, not to be afraid. That is what the government wants you to do. The governments of the world want you to be afraid. Do not be afraid. Do your best not to be afraid. Try to find that place of love inside yourself for the other beings of the universe, and find that place and sit in that place of love if an event happens. Because otherwise you're just going to fall into the nonsense of the government. And just look at the governments of the world and look at what they produce, and you'll understand that they're only warlike. Let's not extend the war to another planet. Let us, as representatives of this earth, let us show that any alien race coming down here that we are good guys and we welcome them with open arms, because we understand that anyone coming down here is here for our benefit, not coming down to attack us. The ones who are attacking us are already here. That's our governments. They're attacking their own people, so we don't need to worry about a threat from outside. The threat's already here. Anyway, that's my 2 cents on the whole issue. We'll see what happens tomorrow. It's UFO news for today. Jump away for a moment. I'll be back. I got a bunch of more news, so don't go anywhere. Stay tuned.
What if our government was responsible for some of the greatest crimes against this nation? Would you really want to know? These are big questions, but these questions deserve answers. It's time to demand the truth.
People shouldn't be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of them.
9/11 was an inside job. Kennedy was killed by the CIA. Jimmy Carter saw UFO. Answers to secrets you need to know. So wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. The evidence is overwhelming. Step past your fear, take a look. Illuminati lies keep growing, but they're illusion from your eyes. And wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. What would our founding fathers say if they were alive today? Must be turning in their graves. Redcoats are coming, big brothers watching. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. What if I land into if I see, and I on the opposite shore will be ready to ride and spread the alarm through every Middlesex village and farm. Whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it. When a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Patriots arise. It's time to demand the truth.
Patriots arise. It's time to demand the truth. All right, Patriots. We need some Patriots out there. I'm not talking about the New England football Patriots. I'm talking about Patriots who are willing to step up for their country. This is what's necessary, my friends. We must all hang together, or we will surely hang separately. We need to bond together because criminals are running the show. The wolf is in the hen house, and we got a problem. All right, Congressman Ron Paul, presidential candidate Ron Paul. This is his speech against Iran sanctions. Let's listen to what he has to say.
I yield 2.5 minutes to an American patriot, someone who's been relentless in his efforts to stop America from blundering into foreign adventures. Congressman Ron Paul from Texas.
Gentleman from Texas is recognized for 2.5 minutes.
I thank the gentleman for yielding. I think this bill would be better named if we called it Obsession with Iran Act 2012. Because this is what we continue to be doing, is obsessed with Iran and the idea that Iran is a threat to our national security. Iran happens to be a third world nation. They have no significant Navy, Air Force, intercontinental ballistic missiles. The IAEA and our CIA said they're not on the verge of a nuclear weapon. It's so similar to what we went through in the early part of this last decade when we were beating the war drums to go to war against Iraq. And it was all a facade. There was no danger from Iraq. So this is what we're doing, beating the war drums once again. Now, since the bill has come back from the conference, we're going to deal with civil liberties in Syria. Well, I happen to be a civil libertarian. I'm very concerned about civil liberties. But let me tell you, this bill is not going to do anything to enhance the civil liberties of the individuals in Syria. Now, if we were really interested in the civil liberties, why wouldn't we look to ourselves? Why wouldn't we look to the things that we do here? What about our warrantless searches under the Patriot Act? What about the policy of assassination and assassinating American citizens? What about arrest by the military, National Defense Authorization Act? What about the drone warfare that we go on? Do you think we're protecting civil liberties by arbitrarily dropping drones or threatening to drop drones any place in the world with innocent people dying? If we want to really care about civil liberties in Syria, why don't we care about the secret prisons we have and the history of torture that we've had in this country? What about the fact that kill lists are being made by the executive branch of government and we sit idly by and approve of it by saying nothing, and the American people put up with it, and we march in this direction, marching into a determination to have another war. When you put on sanctions on a country, it's an act of war, and that's what this is all about. The first thing you do when war breaks out between two countries is you put sanctions on them. You blockade the country. So this is an act of war. What would we do if somebody blockaded and put sanctions on us and prevented the importation of any product in this country? We'd be furious, we'd declare war, we'd go to war. So we are the antagonists. We're over there poking our nose in other people's affair, just looking for the chance to start another war. First it's Syria, then Iran. We have too many wars. We need to stop the wars. We don't have the money to fight these wars any longer. Gentlemen, for yielding. I'm still rather impressed with the obsession over a weapon that does not exist, and no concern whatsoever about many nuclear weapons that are held by countries that never even joined the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. It is called for in the debate that Iran should end all its nuclear programs, but they're permitted to have their nuclear programs under the Non-Proliferation Treaty. And the other countries that have weapons, and including the countries that hold the weapons that came from the Soviet system, seems like that would be a much greater danger. You know, the investigation by the UN or by our CIA has never indicated that they've ever enriched above 20%. And they said they won't even do it to 20%. If they would merely allow it, the West would cooperate and sell them this material. They said, we don't need it, but we need 20% enrichment for nuclear isotopes, medical isotopes. So our refusal to deal with them prompts them to take it up enrichment to 20%. 5%, of course, is what they're allowed to do for nuclear energies. But this idea that we can badger people and then defy the law, what we're asking them to do is to close down their program is you're asking them to defy international law. They agreed to this. They have a right to do this under this treaty. And for us to come and say, well, they must quit it, I think it really is very close to an obsession on a country that is incapable of attacking us or attacking. They don't have a history of invading their neighboring countries. The last time they were at war was with Iraq, and we bugged Iraq to go into Iran. So I find this very distressing that the obsession continues. I find it very, very upsetting that this vote will, of course, be overwhelmingly in support of correcting the civil liberties of Syria and making Iran toe the line and give up on something that they're permitted to do. A vote for this, in my opinion, in time will show that it's just one more step to another war that we don't need. We have not been provoked. They are not a threat to our national security. And we should not be doing this. We've been doing it too long. For the last 10, 15 years, we're just obsessed with this idea that we go to war and try to solve all the problems of the world. At the same time, it is bankrupting us. I strongly urge a no vote on this resolution.
All right, so there you go. We just want to beat those war drums. The question I have is, what about the military leaders? Why aren't they stepping up to say this is unconstitutional? We're not going to go do this. I mean, are the military leaders that conditioned to believe everything that their commander-in-chief tells them, even though that there's question about his authority? We got a real problem in this country. You know what the problem is? The system is broken. And so it doesn't matter how many good people are working within a broken system. It's a broken system. And it isn't going to get any better. It needs to be scrapped. Somehow or another, the system of America failed, and we need to hit the reset button because there's too many criminals in all branches of our government, from the executive branch to the judicial branch to Congress. They're everywhere. And then we go into regular society, and in society there's corruption everywhere. Look at all of the polling that has taken place in the primaries and the caucuses. There's been fraudulent behavior all along. We look at what's going on in all of the different professions. We got cheating going on every day in life. We got police who are abusing people and corruptions going on there. We have the Olympic Games where there's cheating scandals which are being heard about. We got cheating in professional sports. We got cheating in amateur sports. We got adults going crazy because their kids are being taught certain things on the football field or they aren't winning. There's just a lack of common sense in the world. And it's all building up to war, and it's all building up to a big fall. Does any of this make sense to you? What's going on in the world? Can you actually sit back and say, yeah, this all makes sense? Or do you see a pattern that we've been repeating over and over and over again? And don't you ask and wonder, aren't we going to get out of this loop eventually? When do we learn the lesson? When do we say we've seen this thing happen over and over again, and this time we're not going to do it? Remember, fool me once, fool me twice? We're way past the fool me twice. We've been fooled over and over and over and over and over again in this country. It's time to stop getting fooled, and the only way we're going to do it is if we pay attention. And you got to deal with the denial part. You got to get past that first. I know somebody right now who is going through the process of seeing things that are out there. Their eyes have been opened to what's going on, and they're having discussions, and they're realizing these things that I've been saying and talking about suddenly have a different sense of reality in their world. And it's frustrating them. And the first thing they said the other day, they said the thing they're having the hardest time dealing with right now is the fact that they give people the benefit of the doubt, and they have to accept that that's not warranted, that the people that they thought that were trustworthy aren't, and they gave a benefit of the doubt, and now they don't know what to do. So that's the first phase. Everyone's going to go through that because you wanted to trust your government. You wanted to trust the people that you turned the TV and you let them into your house every night, your media. But they've betrayed you over and over and over again. Sooner or later, the majority of people are going to get it. I think they're waking up to it more and more. But that's the big problem. We have to get out of the denial phase, accept we've been lied to, and then fix the situation. Now here's a situation. Federal court calls for TSA to explain defiance of national body scanner order. It's about time. Where has the federal court been in this? Finally, on August 1st, 2012, a federal appeals court ordered the TSA to clarify why they have yet to comply with a now year-old court decision mandating public hearings on the use of the so-called naked body scanners in airports across the nation. These hearings were supposed to address the rules and regulations pertaining to the use of these scanners, which have been linked to significant health risks, place quite considerable cost on the taxpayer, and most importantly, don't even work as they're supposed to. Indeed, earlier this year, a blogger exposed how easy it is to bypass these scanners, while in 2012, in 2010, an Israeli security expert says, I don't know why everybody is running to buy these expensive and useless machines. I can overcome the body scanners with enough explosive to bring down a Boeing 747. So, in a response from the third request from the Electronic Privacy Information Center, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit finally stepped up. In short order, the court asked why the TSA has yet to follow through with being ordered to act promptly and to hold public hearings with public adoption of rules and regulations for the use of scanners. Good question. Good question. I'm going to keep you informed on that, but it's about time, somebody asked. People have been asking, how many kids need to have their lives ruined by having a scumbag TSA agent touch them inappropriately? How many times? And how many times do we have to watch a video of a parent standing there while their children gets abused? That's disgusting. Why more parents haven't punched more TSA workers in the nose is beyond me. It's because parents are so afraid. You're more afraid of the TSA than you are of protecting your own children. That's a problem. Don't you agree? Shouldn't your children be the first priority? And when you took your children and paraded in front of a TSA, it's because you trusted that that officer was going to do their job properly. But they didn't. And how many kids out there? There's plenty of them that we've seen videos of them crying because they were inappropriately touched. And how long of in their lives is that going to affect them? Horrible, horrible. Bring the TSA down. They're all I get too frustrated when I talk about them. All right. See? Learn to hold my tongue. All right. Here's another one we want to pay attention to. Homeland Security issuing its own DMCA takedowns on YouTube to stifle speech. We recently wrote about the fight over copyright, fair use, and political videos. In the comments, someone anonymous pointed us to a YouTube page including a typical takedown notice. Here's a screenshot. U.S. Department of Homeland Security right there. This is actually the first time I recall that I've seen a takedown that had multiple takedown notices. So it's interesting that YouTube even has such an error message. But what really caught my attention was the second claimant listed, United States Department of Homeland Security. Homeland Security issuing a copyright takedown? For what it's worth, the commentator who submitted this pointed us to another video which they claim is the same as was taken down. I have no idea if it's the same video or not, but it's not some idiotic conspiracy mongering. Take one comment from reporter completely out of context and pretending President Obama said it when he did not. I never understand conspiracy theories like that. That's really neither here nor there. This is the important thing. Homeland Security is paying attention. All right. Are you paying attention? They're paying attention. They're taking down stuff. They're trying to stifle. And then they just tell you to move along. Nothing really happening here. Okay, reality check. Here we go. Ben Swan, he's been on a roll lately. There's some really good topics here. Here's another one.
Well, it is clear to most Americans that the U.S. is getting closer each day to getting militarily involved in Syria. But what you may not know is that a new report says we already are. So who exactly is the U.S. supporting? Ben has the reality check you won't see anywhere else.
The headline from Reuters yesterday, President Barack Obama has signed a secret order authorizing U.S. support for rebels seeking to depose Syrian President Bashar al-Assad and his government. A U.S. government source acknowledged that under provisions of the presidential finding, the United States is collaborating with a secret command center operated by Turkey and its allies. Last week, Reuters reported that along with Saudi Arabia and Qatar, Turkey had established a secret base near the Syrian border to help direct vital military and communication support to Assad's opponents. Separately from the president's secret order, the Obama administration has stated publicly that it is providing some backing for Assad's opponents. The State Department said on Wednesday the U.S. government had set aside a total of $25 million for non-lethal assistance to Syrian opposition. A U.S. official said that was mostly for communications equipment, including encrypted radios. Now, Republicans like Senators John McCain and Lindsey Graham, they insist the president is taking too long to help the rebels overthrow Assad. But the big question here that no one is asking, who are these rebels that the U.S. is supporting? Well, buried at the bottom of that Reuters article, quote, recent news reports from the region have suggested that the influence and numbers of Islamist militants, some of them connected to Al-Qaeda or its affiliates, have been growing among Assad's opponents. U.S. and European officials say that so far, intelligence agencies do not believe the militants' role in the anti-Assad opposition is dominant. Really? They don't believe that the militant role is dominant? It's kind of interesting because we've been here before, as recently as last year. In 2011, the U.S. provided large amounts of money and military support to help overthrow Muammar Gaddafi. They were providing that support to opposition forces in Libya. At the time, an Italian newspaper interviewed Abdel Hakim al-Hasidi, the Libyan rebel leader. And he told that Italian newspaper that jihadists who fought against Allied troops in Iraq, against U.S. troops, were on the front lines of the battle against Gaddafi's regime. Mr. al-Hasidi admitted he had earlier fought against the foreign invasion in Afghanistan before being captured in 2002 in Pakistan. He was later handed over to the U.S. and then held in Libya before being released in 2008. Mr. al-Hasidi insisted his fighters, quote, are patriots and good Muslims, not terrorists, but added that the, quote, members of Al-Qaeda are also good Muslims and are fighting against the invader, end quote. So what you need to know, late last year when Senator John McCain co-wrote the National Defense Authorization Act and President Obama signed it into law, they crafted a law that gave the president the authority to use all necessary and appropriate force during the current armed conflict with Al-Qaeda and the Taliban and associated forces, including the power to indefinitely detain anyone caught supporting Al-Qaeda, which in this case is the president and members of Congress. To be clear, we're spending over $1 trillion and, more importantly, spilling the blood of thousands of American lives in Iraq and Afghanistan. Then spending more American money and military power to, in some cases, help the same fighters overthrow another government. Is Al-Qaeda the enemy or aren't they? And that is Reality Check.
All right. So let's think back now from just knowing what Ben just said. Let's just take Al-Qaeda. And what do we do when we hear Al-Qaeda? We substitute it for CIA. Now, suddenly doesn't it make a whole lot of different sense that we are working with the CIA who was working out there? It's the same organization. The Al-Qaeda is a name for the database of terrorists trained by the CIA. The CIA and Al-Qaeda, same thing. So, yes, we are working with them. Why? Because we created them. That's it. That's what you need to know. All right. Moving on over to the Batman story and the shooter. Well, for those who choose not to take things at face value, this is a story you will like. The Batman murder PSYOP is expanding. And by PSYOP, I mean PSYOP because this is a psychological operation against the American people. It aims to blow up one horrible crime into a vicious general lie. Now we're told that a University of Colorado threat assessment team was aware of problems with James Holmes in June, a month before he committed murder and mayhem in Aurora Theater. The cover-up is unfolding. Threat assessment team is a way of claiming that problems Holmes was having are not unique to him. In fact, this is a society-wide problem. Otherwise, why would a threat assessment team exist in the first place? And what is the supposed problem? Mental illness. It's a chronic epidemic. A subliminal psyop asserts that derangement is in the nature of the human condition. More specifically, it is the nature of the brain. Threat assessment team becomes a symbol that lets the public know the Batman murders are a symptom of a wider situation. According to the promoted storyline, we the people need threat assessment teams and not just University of Colorado. Now, what this brings to mind, thought crimes. Threat assessment team's perhaps going to go out there, and if somebody has a thought in their mind, because psychologically everyone has a problem, that it's a natural condition of the brain, and any time someone might snap. Is this leading to that? But remember, this guy's father allegedly was supposed to testify against the criminals in the Liber scandal, and then all of this happened. And then you've got the comparisons of the pictures. There's been picture and facial analysis done between the photo that we see right here and the other photo, the original of him. Facial analysis has gone out and been done. They're not necessarily the same two faces, which means they might not be the same two persons, maybe two different individuals. Not certain. It is something being looked upon, not by the mainstream media. They don't want you to know. They want you just to listen to what they tell you and don't ask questions. All right. Now, in the last week, I've read, and in weeks prior to that, I read stories to you about the Department of Homeland Security and the government's preparing for civil unrest. Well, hopefully this isn't going to be the case, but paying attention to what's going on in the world, unfortunately, we see signs of this every day. So if indeed this is the case, it's good to know what we would want to do to be prepared. Here it says, according to an Army field manual, in these modern times, demonstrations, civil unrest, public disorder, and riots happen for a number of reasons. Some of these reasons are economic hardships, social injustice, ethnic differences, objections to world organizations of certain governments, political grievances, terrorist acts. An event can be triggered by a single cause or a combination of causes. The manual, FM 319.15, further states that the gathering and protest are recognized rights of any person or group, regardless of where U.S. forces may be operating. The fundamental right is protected by the Constitution of the United States. These are interesting, if not downright frightening times to all, but the most ignorant government and elected officials have sold out to corporations with deep pockets and hidden agendas. Tenets of freedom from tyranny are being challenged on a daily basis. In addition, not a day goes by the new financial consumer scam comes to the public eye, further eroding our trust in a system that was one time steeped in honor and trust. In addition to the challenge of a corrupt system of governments, we have massive unemployment and underdevelopment in all age groups. Cities, countries, even counties and countries are bankrupt to close. Healthcare costs are out of control, and as are prescription drug costs. So we go down here, and here's some of the things that you get done. You can do 9 steps to help prepare for civil unrest. 1. Make sure your basic backup supplies are in order. This includes adequate food, water, and sanitation supplies for at least a 2-week period, and preferably a month or even longer. 2. Take stock of your first aid kit to ensure you have sufficient medical supplies, remedies, and prescription drugs. 3. Inventory the security features in your home to determine weaknesses that need to be strengthened. Set up a personal defense system. If you own a firearm, apply for a concealed weapon permit. 5. Form a community of like-minded people that will drill together and will band together for protection and safety during times of chaos. 6. Stockpile cash and small bills. In massive and chaotic riot situations, ATM and banks are likely to be closed and inoperable. 7. Accumulate goods for barter. When the stores are closed or the supermarket and hardware are empty, you may need to call on others for supplies. 8. Don't forget about children and elderly or pets. 9. Keep a level head and your mouth shut. If by some chance you're pulled into a police net, first thing you should do is call a lawyer. Be courteous and polite. Do not resist. Now here's something handy in the event that you are arrested or confronted by a police. First, ask to call your lawyer. Second, be courteous. Do not resist. Third, do not consent to search or entry. 4th, do not talk about anything. Do not admit or deny anything. 5, ask if you are free to go. If you are, go. The ACLU has a printable card that you can download and keep with you. What to do if you're stopped by police. All right? So, there you go. There you go. And I certainly know I'm going to be carrying one of those with me when I'm out there on our road trip, because there's going to be lots of police. Lots of police ready to commit treason against their country, and, well, I'm going to have to watch out for that because I'm not into the treasonous ones. All right, here we go. This was an archaeological dig. Archaeologists unearthed extraordinary human sculpture in Turkey. Look at that. Pretty cool, huh? A beautiful and colossal human sculpture is one of the latest cultural treasures unearthed by an international team at the Tijuana Archaeological Project, otherwise referred to as TAP, T-A-P, excavation site in southeastern Turkey. A large semicircular column base ornately decorated on one side was also discovered. Both pieces are from a monumental gate complex that provided access to the upper city of Kunula, capital of the Neo-Hittite kingdom of Patina. This is 1000 to 738 BC. So there you go. There's a whole article here about this, so you can check it out. But pretty cool, pretty cool. All right, kind of cartoon looking-ish. All right, and that brings us to our very last thing for today. I'm going to play part 5 from Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. This is part 5. Yesterday was about faith. This is called A Pleasing Personality, something that's important to success.
I'm happy to be with you for our 5th visit, and our subject is a pleasing personality. Your personality determines whether people are attracted to you or shy away from you. It is the show window in which you display your character to the world, and it is the one thing which distinguishes you from all other human beings. It is your trademark by which people recognize you, and it is the thing which determines your success or failure in selling yourself through life. Therefore, you should see your personality just as others see it, so you may improve it where it needs improvement. Your personality consists of more than 30 different factors, traits, and characteristics. Because of the limit of time I can devote to this visit with you, I can mention only the more important of your traits of personality. But before I begin to describe these traits, I want you to know that every trait which goes into your personality is under your control, and you can improve it so it will be whatever you want it to be. Let us start with the most important trait of your personality, your mental attitude. This is a trait with which you attract people to you and cause them to like you, or repel them and cause them to dislike you. Your mental attitude must be positive if you attract people to you. How do other people know whether your mental attitude is positive or negative, you may ask? Well, the answer is easy. First of all, other people tune in and pick up your mental attitude by telepathy without your saying a word or making a move. But there are other ways they can tell whether your mental attitude is negative or positive. You disclose this information by the tone of your voice, whether it is pleasant or harsh, by the expression on your face, whether it is soft and pleasing or harsh and scowling, by the courtesy and consideration you show other people, or the lack of these. So you see, there is no escape from revealing to others the exact nature of your personality. The next most important trait of your personality consists of your flexibility of your mental attitude or your lack of it. If you have flexibility, you adjust yourself to all the circumstances in your relations with others without losing your composure or allowing yourself to become irritable or angry. Just remember, if you have flexibility of your mental attitude, it will be impossible for anyone to make you angry or to irritate you without your consent or cooperation. Now, this is worth knowing, isn't it? You cannot control the actions of other people which might justify you in becoming irritated by them, but you can control your reaction to all such circumstances by exercising your trait of flexibility. And you will observe that all people in the higher brackets of success have this flexibility, and they do control their reaction to the influences of other people. The third most important trait of a pleasing personality is the ability to control and direct your emotion of enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is one of the means by which you can give forcefulness to your words, but you must be able to turn it on and off at will as definitely as you can turn on and off water at the spigot. Uncontrolled enthusiasm often makes people boresome. It also may open wide the window to one's mind through which other people may enter and influence one in ways he does not wish to be influenced. The fourth most important trait of a pleasing personality is a sincerity of purpose. The person who is not sincere in all relationships with others is soon detected and rejected, because no one is attracted to the person who thus endeavors to deceive others. Sincerity is one quality of character which cannot be successfully faked, not even by the most astute rascal or the most efficient actor, because insincerity evermore carries with it some warning sign which other people recognize. You have only to go back into your own experience with insincere people to prove the truth of what I have stated. There are 26 other important traits which give one a pleasing personality, but I do not have time to give them to you in this visit. Now let us turn our attention to some of the common habits which destroy a pleasing personality. Please check yourself as I describe these negative habits, and you may make discoveries about yourself sufficient to enable you to rebuild your entire personality so it will become a master salesman in your behalf. One of the most destructive habits which make one's personality objectionable is that of breaking in and running away with the conversation when others are speaking. And 2, sarcasm, expressed by insinuations and wisecracks which are not so wise, is near the head of the list of habits which give one a negative personality. And 3rd, vanity expressed by either words or actions is sure to make one unpopular. And 4, indifference in listening while others are speaking is sure to be noticed and resented. It is more profitable to be a good listener than it is to be a good talker, because one is always apt to learn something while listening to others, but never learns anything from hearing himself talk. 5, the attempt to flatter where flattery is obviously not deserved will bring quick resentment from others. Also, it will put them on notice, if they are wise, that the flatterer wants something he perhaps should not get. And 6, the habit of finding fault with the world at large and people in general is never a popular habit, and it is no part of a pleasing personality. It is far better to direct conversation to the circumstances and things which are right than to complain of those which one believes to be wrong. And 7, one of the very worst habits which destroy a pleasing personality is that of openly and directly challenging those with whom one may not agree, where there is no obvious reason for doing so, except the desire to be on the opposite side. And 8, the habit of volunteering unsolicited advice to others who have not requested it can make one an intolerable bore. Free advice usually is considered to be worth just what it costs, which is nothing but the patience with which to listen to it. And 9, the habit of speaking of one's physical ailments, worries, and personal problems may be tolerated by others, but this habit will never make one welcome or pleasing. If you wish to make yourself welcome in your relations with others, manage to talk about things which interest and concern those to whom you are speaking. You will never be boresome to the person to whom you are speaking of himself and the things which interest him, a truth which all master salesmen understand and respect. And 10, the habit of endeavoring to convey an impression of superiority through the use of words and topics unfamiliar to others is a surefire destroyer of popularity. If you wish to sell yourself to others successfully, you must negotiate with them on their own level through terms which they understand. And 11, envy of those who are successful is a trait which destroys a pleasing personality. The truly great men and women have all been known to be generous, sympathetic, and joyous in connection with the good fortunes of others. And 12, slovenliness in body, posture, and in clothing never attracts but always repels others. Clothes make not the man, as has been said, but they surely give him a mighty good start if they are appropriate and properly worn. Carelessness in body carriage and posture is immediately traceable to a negative mental attitude. If you are free from these 12 common habits which make one unpopular, you probably have a very pleasing personality. There are 5 other negative habits which make one unpopular, which I have not had the time to mention. Remember this, please. If you are not liked by other people, you may be sure there is a reason which you can detect and correct. It is unnatural for one person to dislike another without a cause. Before you can make full use of the master key to success, you will need to make your personality pleasing. This will require courage on your part and honesty with yourself. A pleasing personality stands near the head of the list of assets which make one truly rich. I was impressed with this truth many years ago when I heard Andrew Carnegie say that he paid his right-hand mastermind ally, Charles M. Schwab, $75,000 a year for the services he rendered directly. But he often gave Mr. Schwab a bonus at the end of the year of $1 million for the influence he exerted on his associate workers because of his pleasing personality. You see, therefore, Andrew Carnegie, who has been said to have been the greatest judge of men this nation has ever known, placed a value on a pleasing personality of more than 10 times as much as he valued the personal services of his right-hand man. Perhaps this will give you a clue that may help you up the market value of your personality. And now, until we meet again, may I wish you health, wealth, and peace of mind.
All right, there you go. I hope you're enjoying the Andrew Carnegie, the Napoleon Hill, talking about Andrew Carnegie. There's a whole lot more to the series, so I'm going to keep playing those because they are, well, they're quite good. All right, let's do our meditation for today. Close your eyes. Relax. All right, it's the end of the week. Getting ready for the weekend. Imagine seated on a beach, watching the waves. The waves come in and back out. In and back out. And as you watch the waves and you get in sync with the rhythm of the ocean, you find yourself being more relaxed. And you find that inside of your body, that the energy within you flows back and forth like an ocean. And as you tune into the energy of your body and how it flows back and forth, and you get in synchronicity with that flow, you feel peaceful. Because in the place of synchronicity, everything is easy and smooth. And you realize that as long as you are in synchronicity with your energy and the energy around you, life moves smooth. But when we are out of synchronicity, this is when we have challenges. So we tell our minds at this point to look for the places where we can synchronize. We tell our minds to look for the opportunities to grow and to learn. And we tell our minds to avoid the situations of disharmony. And as we do, we feel even stronger and more in control because we understand we are in control of our particular system, our being. And as we learn to operate the controls within our consciousness and our unconsciousness, we become more peaceful because we are more aware. So just feel the peace and calm of being in synchronicity with the flow of life as the energy moves like the ocean back and forth. And from this calm place, think of the word love and just send this word love out into the world and like a wave. And as it goes out into the world, imagine this love reaching all around the planet. And imagine this love being felt by others in the same way that you feel the love being sent to you. And as you hold that love in your heart and project that love into the world becomes a place of love, and fear dissipates, and doubts disappear, and love reigns supreme. So let's just hold this idea of love in our hearts, and let's keep our minds open, and let's prepare as we go into this weekend to be open to whatever experience may happen upon this planet. Let's open our minds that if there is an extraterrestrial intervention that does occur, that our minds are open to accept the experience and look at it for what it truly is, as opposed to the propaganda that may be led and talked about. Let us open our minds and our hearts to understand if there is an experience and there are any beings from another world that come down to this planet. Let us communicate to them the love that we have down in this planet, so that any beings coming down here understand that this is a planet of love, and that there are more people in synchronicity with love, and only a few that are causing the problems. And last, let's just hold the idea of trusting God in our mind and in our heart. Whatever that concept of God is for you, whether it be a universal force or great spirit or divine providence, or whatever name or way you assign that energy, let us just trust. And as we have that idea of trust, let's hold that idea in our heart, along with the idea of love, and let's bring our energy and attention back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3, coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1, coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. Alright, there you have it. That is the end of another week. Thank you for being here. Should be an interesting weekend. We'll see what goes on with the Olympics. We'll see if there is any reality to these channeled messages that came through. If not, doesn't mean anything. If something does happen, it'll be important, but just because something doesn't physically happen doesn't mean that the information out there is bogus. We just need to look in to see what the next part is to understand more. But we'll see. Maybe tomorrow will be a great day, and maybe there will be a landing that will really open the eyes of the world. We'll find out together, won't we? I'll be back on Monday. Have a great weekend. I'll talk to you soon. Peace. I'm out of here.